Let's talk about Toulmin model of argumentation today. Stephen Toulmin, he was a British philosopher, author, and educator. His works are useful in the field of rhetoric for analyzing any type of rhetorical arguments. The Toulmin model of argumentation contains six interrelated components used for analyzing arguments, and it's considered as one of the most influential work by Stephen Toulmin. The point here is not to win or beat all the arguments, but the point here is to come as close as you can to the truth. Maybe, as very realistic or as feasible as possible. Um, we know about Aristotle's point of argument. So he was trying to come as close as he can, but there is no right and wrong in argument. You, based on the supporting evidences that you're coming up with or the sources that you have, you can come as close as possible to the truth. So the Toulmin model is useful for analyzing an argument, maybe an argument that you're reading, and you can also analyze an argument, how an argument work, and maybe some students use this Toulmin model of argumentation as a basis of a structured organization to make a good argument. Now let's look at some of the parts of this argument. Now here you can see the six different parts of the Toulmin model of argumentation. They are claim, data, and backing, warrant, rebuttal, and a qualifier. A claim is the main point of your argument, or whatever argument that you make in your paper or in your argumentation. The claim is the proposition or the assertion of the arguer that is made for the readers or for the listeners to accept your point of view. And for example, the claim is the statement that you make to argue. Now we have an example here. The Congress should ban animal research. So that's a point, or that's a point of your argument. And if you just make an argument or you come up with your opinionated kind of an argument, people may not trust your point of view. So you need more supporting evidences to support your argument. So that's the reason why we need data. So this is the proof or the evidence or the supporting evidences that you make to prove your argument or to qualify your claim. The data or the grounds that usually answers the questions like what is your proof? How come? Or why we should accept your argument? So this is the fact or the evidence that you use to support your argument. Like, for example, animals are tortured in experiments that have no necessary benefit for humans, such as the testing of cosmetics. So here you are coming up with data to support your claim why they should accept your argument. That is, the Congress should ban all the animal testing. And then, there we have different types of data. You may come up with logical data or the logical evidences. That means something that makes your readers think about. You may come up with some statistics, some research conducted, some studies conducted, studies like that. Or you may come up with pathos, emotional appeal. You may generate the emotional side of the readers, and you may come up with some evidences to appeal to the emotions of your readers. And of course, there should be it should be ethical as well. So, Aristotle used these three terms as logos, pathos, and ethos. Logos is logical evidences, pathos, emotional evidences, through which you're appealing to the emotional side of your readers by coming up with some stories or your personal experiences. Of course, there should be ethical side to the supporting evidences that you're coming up with. That is termed as ethos. And warrant. Warrant is the assumption that you make based on your data and then the supporting evidences that you came up with. So when you come up with your warrant, you make an inference based on your data and then your claim. So it's a hypothetical, logical statement that serves as a bridge between claim and then the data. Now let's look at an example. The well-being of animals is more important than the profits of the cosmetics industry. Only Congress has the authority to make such a law. So that is the kind of an assumption that you're coming up with, right? So based on your data and then based on the claim or your argument that you make, so you make an assumption bridging these two parts of your argument. Then, of course, you need more backing to support your assumption or your warrant, right? So it gives additional justification for coming up with an assumption or the warrant. Like, here you have an example. The corporations can simply move from state to state to avoid legal penalties. So that's the reason why you want the Congress to involve in this matter. Otherwise, companies may go from state to state to avoid any type of legalities involved in the case of animal research to make cosmetics. And of course, you will face, opposing arguments, and you should see that as an arguer. People may have different point of view. So if you don't acknowledge the different point of view in your paper, that may negatively affect your point of view. So readers may think like, there's a different side to it, or there's a different way of thinking, or there are different research, different argument related to this. So this writer is not really aware of that. So you want to let your readers know that you're really aware of the other point of view or a different point of view, but you're coming up with your side because of uh, certain reasons. So you have to acknowledge the opposing point of view, and you should be able to counter argue, and prove that your side is more valid. So that's a reason for having rebuttals in your paper. So it's a counter arguments or statements indicating circumstances when the general argument does not hold true. So any opposing arguments that you come up with in your reading or in your research, you just mention that in your paper, and what are the limitations related to your argument. So you just mentioned that, and then if you have any supporting evidence to prove that your argument or your side is more valid than the other side, so that means it gives more strength to your point of view. um, and here we have an example. A law to ban all research would go too far. If you come up with um, a, a, a law to ban all different types of research, that's not what you're looking for. You're looking to ban only research, to research that is related to the animals, and only for animals that, you do research on animals just to create or make cosmetics. So, but you may not want to stop all different types of animal research, maybe for medical purposes that may be more relevant. Maybe when you do any type of research, you may find that maybe more relevant, and you may not be able to counter argue on that one. So you're doing counter argument based on animal research only to make cosmetics. And you need to qualify your statement or your point of view that you're deriving at the end of your argument with a strong supporting positive statement that makes a strong influence in the mind of your readers. So qualifier that qualifies your point of view or the degree of force or probability that you can attach to your claim, and that will give more strength or that will make a lasting impression in the mind of your readers. And here we have an example. Of course, this ban should not apply to medical research. And so the law would probably have to be carefully written to define the kinds of research intended. So when the Congress rewrite the law, the research laws, they have to carefully look at all different sides. So your intended argument is just to ban the research related to animals only to make cosmetics to make cosmetic companies to make more money. So that is your point of view. So these are the 6 different steps involved in the um, Toulmin model of argumentation. Once again, let me just wrap it up. First, you need to have a claim, your point of view or your argument that you're trying to prove in your paper. The second one is data. Data is any supporting evidences or sources that you are coming up with to support your claim. And the third one is the warrant, an assumption that you make that bridges in between your claim and then the data. The next one is you need to have more backing to support your warrant or support your assumption that you're coming up with. Then you need to come up with a rebuttal, any opposing point of views, any limitations connected to this type of an argument. And then if you have any research to supplement to prove that your side is more valid than the opposing argument. And then, of course, you need to come up with a positive, strong statement that makes a long-lasting impression in the mind of your reader about the point of view that you're making in your paper. That's a qualifier. And these are the 6 different steps that you can follow to write a good Toulmin model of argumentation. And here I have an assignment. I want you to write a paper about, for or against using animals for testing cosmetics. You need to follow MLA format. You need to have all the different steps involved in a Toulmin argument in your paper. You need to have 4 pages and a minimum of 5 citations that support your logical claim that you make in your paper. All right? Thank you.